Robin Roberts. Many of us have started our day with her for years, waking up to her on Good Morning America and before that, ESPN. She is someone who has lived authentically, spoken her truth, and inspired many of us to do the same. Good morning. I'm Leah McGowan Hare, and welcome to another one of our live weekly conversations as part of our Leading Through Change series, a chance for you to hear from business leaders around the world how they are doing their best to get through these challenging times. Now, before I turn it over to today's host and my friend, Salesforce SVP of Customer Marketing, Brand Partnerships, and C-Suite Engagement, Christina Jones, I want to preview the next hour. Christina will be interviewing Robin Roberts, anchor of ABC's Good Morning America. And after that, we'll have a special presentation from our own, very own Wade Wagner, who will show us a glimpse at how we will sell, service, market, collaborate, and innovate in the all digital work from home anywhere world. Finally, we will conclude with a special performance by Butler and Régine Chassagne of Arcade Fire, exclusively on Salesforce Live. So for those of you watching on Twitter, you're going to want to join us at salesforce.com/live to see that portion of the show. And as we do every week on Leading Through Change, we want to help those who need it the most. Now, millions of people already rely on the United Nations World Food Program for the food they need to survive. And COVID-19 is making conditions even worse. Now, this pandemic could double, I said double, the number of people suffering from severe hunger by the end of the year. Now, to prevent a hunger pandemic, the World Food Program is scaling up to reach 100 million people across 86 countries with life-saving support. Now, if you can, please go to salesforce.com/WFP and joining us in ensuring the most vulnerable have enough to eat during this critical time. Through July 31st, which is tomorrow, 2020, Salesforce will be matching donations up to a total of $150,000. Again, that's salesforce.com/WFP. Now, with that, over to you, Christina.
Thank you, Leah. And thank you all for joining us today. You know, it's easy to feel disconnected these days. Many of us have been at home for months, but fortunately, technology is keeping us all connected. It's enabling us to work from anywhere, as you will see later in our demo. In some ways, technology is also making all of us content creators, especially as it relates to the reach of our social media channels. Thanks to the power of technology, we all have more of a platform than ever, but it's truly up to us to decide how we use it. So when we started putting together this episode, I really wanted to highlight people who are not just talking about needing to do something, they are and have been driving change by using their platforms, whether that is as a storyteller or as an artist. So you're about to hear from a few people who I truly admire for how they use their platforms to inspire real change and inspire and improve the state of the world. To start, there's Robin Roberts, co-anchor of Good Morning America. On Wednesday, I had the incredible honor of sitting down with her in a conversation about storytelling, speaking out, and staying strong and resilient even through the toughest of times, and so much more. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Robin. It's an absolute honor to be able to interview you today.
Thank you, Christine. I've been looking forward to it. We haven't seen each other since Tribeca.
I know, it's such a magical experience. Thank you again for participating. I think that was our very first platform for Make Change platform for storytelling. I guess I wanted to start off with, in your career at ESPN and ABC, you've always been, throughout your career, authentic and relatable. I think that that is obviously reflected in the stories that you choose to cover. Why do you think it is so important to tell stories of real people?
I can't imagine doing it any other way. you can spout facts and figures to people. Doesn't get the message across. But when you illustrate it through someone's story, if there's an impact that you're trying to make and you show it through someone's story. And I think that so many people, especially now when we're in our homes, as both of us are right now, you feel isolated. You feel that your story maybe doesn't matter as much, or that you don't have a story to tell. And so when you find these people who are willing to share, and you're so grateful that they're willing to share, I can only imagine people who are viewing it nodding along and not feeling isolated, not feeling alone. And it was a process for me because I started off as a journalist. I am still a journalist, but I mean, we're like a buttoned up and just here are the facts, ma'am, sir, and did not really let any emotion in on it or anything like that. And life is funny. You get older. I'm not gonna divulge my full age, but
Amen.
you get older and you just realize why. You know how people often say, "What would you tell your younger self?" I would say, "Relax." You know, it's going to unfold. It's going to happen. You have all the tools that you need to be able to make the choices and decisions. And you know what? You're going to make mistakes. We all do. And I think that I try and my best to reach people through people, and I find that is the best way to be an effective communicator.
I love that. I love that a lot. These last few months have been really challenging to say the least, from
Mm.
health to race to mental health crises. I think it's really affected everyone. You know, it's funny because I think we talked about this the first time I met you. You're one of my heroes.
Thank
The
you.
way that you are authentic and okay with telling your story made me feel comfortable with what I was going through at the time. Um, how are you now holding up? Where are you finding inspiration during this time?
Oh my gosh, I'm day by day. I really mean that. I have been in my home in Connecticut because I was primarily in my apartment in New York City because of the studio for Good Morning America. And in March, Amber, my partner, and I, because of my underlying health conditions, having gone through cancer twice, including a bone marrow transplant that puts my immunity system is compromised. So my doctors thought it was best to come to Connecticut. So I've been in our basement since March. Now, like a lot of people, I thought, okay, probably maybe a month. This it's been 4 months that we have been here. So I have had to take it just step by, and I've had peaks and valleys, Christina. Woo! I have had some peaks and some valleys during the time. Meditation has really helped me, and I'm a spiritual person by nature. And I have been doing since coming to my home here in Connecticut. I do a morning prayer before Good Morning America, and before it's like you can't say God, you can't talk about religion, and it's not really talking about religion. It's affirmations, it's spirituality, and the response has been so tremendous from people who are in need of something like that. And I'm in need of it. So that is what has really helped me. And to not get ahead of myself and to try and project what it's going to be like next month when the fall hits and things like that. Just trying to really stay. And I used to, when I would cringe when people would say this, stay in the moment. I'm really trying my best to stay in the moment. And it is difficult at times, but I am healthy. I am doing well. I'm able to do my work from home. There are the blessings are plentiful. So I have nothing whatsoever to complain about.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that is really critical. Uh, People need something that they can connect to. I'm 5 years in remission from my breast cancer, so I'm also trapped in my apartment in the city, and my husband and I are moving towards Calistoga so I can have some fresh air and get out of this
Mhm.
so that it's not so scary. It's funny when I like to think that I'm pretty fearless. this is outside of my realm of control, where you feel like you're stuck because of something that is completely out of your control and people choosing not to wear masks?
I don't get me started on that. I don't know what the main issue is with that, and I feel that sometimes when people, it's not just about you. Can people understand this? I mean, if you cannot, and what this is something that has impacted the world. The world is going through this. So anything that you can do, why? I have little patience for people who are, especially at a time like this, are only thinking of themselves and not others.
I think one of the things that, because you talk to a lot of people and you hear a lot of stories, and you mentioned that you're stuck in your basement recording, which is a beautiful basement, by the way,
Think,
um, is, as people are starting to have to go back to work and facing that real reality,
yeah.
what are the things that you think are most frightening for them? Like, what are the things that you think would make them feel more comfortable to go back to work?
It's interesting that you should say that because when I had my bone marrow transplant, I was confined to my hospital room for 30 days.
Mm.
And then all I could think about is, oh, I want to go home. Oh, I want to go home. And I'll never forget this, Christina. I was about to leave the hospital and almost had a panic attack because I had been safe in this hospital room. Everything was in control. If something happened, I could just push a button. Now I was going to be out on my own. And the reason I say that is for people to understand that it's okay if they're going to be a little concerned going back to whatever normal is and whatever that will be the new normal. But what I will say is that you found a strength in you these last months that you probably didn't know that you had, that
100.
you were able to adapt, right? You were able to adapt that you probably thought you couldn't. So, why do you feel that going forward to whatever it is that you're going to be re entering the workplace, why do you feel that you can't handle that as well? You've already handled where you've been. And I've often said this, we as human beings, we never stop to think about the mountains that we've already climbed. We look at the one ahead of us and go, I can't climb that. Well, what about all those ones you already you mounted and you went over? Why do you think this new mountain ahead of you is you're not going to have the same outcome? And so I just say that people who are concerned, you're not alone. Fear is something. There's two things: fear and love. That's what I think. Those are the two things in the world: fear and love. And fear can consume you. It is amazing how it just needs the eye of a needle to get through it, and it just paralyzes you. And something my dear sister Sally Ann, don't let fear keep you from your destiny. And just realize that we all, I know it's true. Why? When you see people who it's the reason I hesitate is that people see someone like myself and they'll go like, oh, and I'm very grateful for people who have helped me to get to where I am and the success that I am enjoying. I really am very appreciative of that. And people feel that, oh, I'm one of the chosen ones, or I haven't had fear. It's all been easy. And it's like, no, I'm fearful just like everybody else. And I don't know more than anyone else, but I do know that I'm here to remind people of what they have within themselves. And it's a privilege to be a messenger. That's what I just try and do, is just get the message out to people about themselves, to be a big old mirror. And everything they say about me, I want it to bounce off and that they can see that in themselves. So there is concern about going back. But we've gotten through where we have already, and we will going forward, whatever is placed in our path, whatever it is.
I love that. That's powerful. So I wanted to double click into something that I've heard you say recently. Could you explain to me what trouble is your transportation means?
Oh, yes, trouble is your transportation. Everybody's got something. I have learned more about myself through going through cancer twice. And I'm not one of those, cancer is the best thing that happened to me. No, it wasn't. I learned a lot. Trouble is your transportation. Trouble will transport you to a place that oftentimes, when things are good, you don't really learn as much as when there is trouble, when there are challenges. And so I really feel that trouble can transport you to a place that you never thought was possible. And the challenges that we have are things that I have learned so much about myself. I have found a depth that I didn't know existed, and it was through trouble. Trouble transported me to that place. And so, yeah, I would love for things always to go well. Everybody would. I mean, I don't look for trouble. I don't look for trouble. I don't want it. But I understand the meaning of it. And I've often said that the tragedies that we suffer through, the be it divorce or loss of health or whatever, everybody's got whatever it is, that's not the tragedy. It's if you don't take, why was that placed in my path? What am I supposed to learn from this? And more importantly, what can I share with others through what I have learned? And it's during that trouble that I really have learned some invaluable lessons.
That is, inc- trouble is what brought me to Salesforce after I conquered cancer. Ironically, I met my husband in the process, which I hear is not unusual. And
Oh,
um, and I wanted to have a job that could create impact. I wanted stories that could inspire people. I wanted to be able to work on programs that would help. Finance and technology are
right.
two barriers to entry for so many that if they just took a second to understand a little bit about it, it could be transformative for them, their families, and communities. So being able to come here and normalize the conversation around technology and collaborate with people like yourself who are creating so much good in the world, like how can we amplify it even further so that it
Mm,
connects with people? um, I would have never, I loved my old job, but
right.
the opportunity to tell real stories is that inspire people is I think really critical right now, especially with so much bad news. Like, but where's the good news? Where's the good news that can inspire people? Where are the people who are thriving?
Right, right. That's what I say. You and I, we're thrivers. I understand and I respect the phrase survivor,
Mhm.
um, but I don't want to survive. You don't go through what you went through. I don't go what I went through. No one goes through what they go through to just survive. You want to thrive. You want your life back. You want your life to be even better than you could have imagined after going through whatever it is that you went through. And that's what I crave. And I think right now, Christina, people are looking for this type of content and programming. They need good news because yes, I'm a part of a morning show and I give you your medicine, but I also find a way during our program to give you hope, to
Yeah,
give you life. And the two can coexist. But I firmly believe this is a time where people are just in need of something good, good content. And I'm just so happy because I have a production company, Rock and Ramen Productions, and we would put out this, we put together programs and pitch them, as you will. Nothing. Crickets. Yeah, that's sweet. That's nice. Now people are calling us, people who turned us down 6 months ago. Or okay, hey, that show you had on the Tuskegee Airmen, is that still available? Yes, it is. And I'm so grateful that, and I hope that's something that we hold on to. There are things that after we get through what we are going through, there are going to be some things that are going to be different. But I want some of what we're experiencing now to stay. I want to take the good. And it's hard to say that when over 140,000 people in this country have lost their lives. And you think of the frontline workers and the healthcare workers, and I'm not one of them. There's no real silver lining to something like this, but we've got to grasp whatever good we can from it and take it with us.
something you said earlier really stuck with me around being in the moment. I meditate as well. It's the only way that you can get through some of these times.
Yeah.
Depression is ruminating on the past, and anxiety is when you're worried about what's happening tomorrow. But the present is where your gift is. And if you can experience like what's happening right now, like that's where the magic is. That's where you can see what the possibilities are, I think. Because everyone's talking about let's get back to normal and what is the new normal. I'm like, but can't we take this opportunity to build better? Can't we take everything we've learned and create something so much more equitable and powerful where everyone can feel a valued member of society?
Can't we do that? Why
Can't we?
ever? Why are we going through this if we're not going to do that? And I feel that in some ways, let's take for example that people of color have been impacted more by COVID-19 than the general population. People of color, Black people, the Latino community as well, especially in California. And it's highlighted that, yes, there are some genetic issues that we have, but a lot of it stems from the inequities in our healthcare system. It's really exposed some things that maybe people didn't really want to open or didn't really truly fully understand. And I think that's when fear comes in. It's when you don't understand something, you become fearful. Say, why are they doing this? Why do they want that? And then when they understand, the fear goes away. But I firmly believe that there are many lessons that we are learning through this pandemic that are going to stay with us and are going to help us in the long term.
I agree. I think that, Black people weren't surprised to see what's happening. I think what's frustrated me is when systemic racism started becoming a buzzword. I just wonder, are people taking the opportunity to understand how this happened? Like, what is the underlying issues that created a space where something this catastrophic could happen in 2020 in America? Like, how, I
Yeah.
sit here, I have a lot of time to think and read, which is again why I've started looking for more positive things to read and focus on. But how did that happen? There's a term I heard, and it's optical allyship. And that's
Mm.
when people are just kind of saying things and posting things and cutting a check, but they don't mean it. They don't get to the underlying issues, um, to really be an ally. Um, I think that that's something that people could learn from you. You have an incredible platform. You are there for everyone all the time, like myself. You're a proud Black woman. I think
Mhm.
that's beautiful. You're like such an inspiration for so many. I'm not a great public speaker. I get anxiety every time I have to speak, but I know that it's important because I work in technology, and there's not a lot of Black women executives, not enough in technology for us to stay here. But I just, again, as an executive for media, like, being able to see somebody using their platform in the way that they feel is the right way to do it to inspire is so incredible.
And we all have a platform these days with social media, and we can use it for good. And I sometimes think, Christina, people feel that they have to do something big and great. Oh, no, no. What can you do in your community? What can you do in your household? I believe in dreaming big but focusing small.
Yes.
I'm a big picture person, but you got to focus small. And what would I be doing? I have this vast opportunity, all the things that I have gone through, being the daughter of Lawrence and Lucy Marion Roberts. My father was a Tuskegee Airman. My mother and father were the first to go to college in their family, Howard University. They met and fell in love at Howard University. Um, 4 children who have college degrees and have been responsible human beings. We've all been successful in being not when I say and success is all relative. When I say that, my siblings and I, our parents taught us to be of service to others,
Mm.
to really understand. And behind me, you don't see, but behind me, it's full. People who have helped me, who have lifted me up, who have believed in me, have helped me believe in myself. I'm eternally grateful. So I have this platform, and if I don't want to be remembered at the end of the day, oh, she helped Good Morning America be number one. That's great. Very proud of that. But if that's all they can say, I want to change the culture within the Disney Corporation. That's our parent company.
Yes.
And news. I want to be able people to say that I was part, not the only person, but I was part of a group that said enough, enough. That yes, yes, it's good, but sometimes you got to give up the good for the great. And I just really feel that I have been very fortunate. You're right, been very fortunate to be given a platform. And I have worked really, really hard, as you know. And of the accolades that I have received, the one that means the most is when Reader's Digest did a poll And I was voted most trusted on television news, most trusted. And I don't take that lightly. And I know that when people, I may be talking about something that the person really, they're like, oh, really? I don't really, well, Robin's talking about, okay, you know what? I'll listen. I'm
Mhm.
not, I have that opportunity not to kind of, I don't want to sway anybody one way. I want to give you the unfiltered truth, and then you decide. And it might not be the same decision that I come to, but I do know in my heart that I've given you the information, the accurate information. And whatever you do with it, that's on you. That's not on me. And so I'm just very pleased that my mother and father raised their children to think that way and to want to be of service and it's not easy. I'm kind of like I'm so much like you, Christina. You know, people think I'm an extrovert. I'm really not. I'm, my partner Amber's like, I'm really, really not. But when the camera comes on, but I'm truthful to who I am. I don't want people to think I'm one way when I'm on camera and I'm one way when I'm not, because that's not true. That's too much work. People who think I'm a different persona, I'm like going, I can't think that much. I can't
Yeah,
think like I'm on camera, so now I have to be this way, and now I'm in real life. But I really feel that because I have this opportunity, I'm going to run with it. I want to have a great run, and I am having a great run. And I'm just so grateful that people are receptive to what I have to say.
is that why? And we double clicked on it a little bit earlier, but we spoke about this at Tribeca. You're the president of Rock and Robin Productions,
Mhm.
and in that role, you're able to tell even more beautiful stories. But how do you see content changing during this time, and what do you think it's going to look like? I know we can't predict the future, but as it continues to evolve.
Well, I think it's lovely how normally we would be doing this kind of interview um, in a studio across from each other. The perfect, no dogs running around, none of that. I like this. I think this is real. People in my basement, they're looking at, oh, what picture does she have up today? Oh, that's a matter back. And that's sweet. I love that. And I think, so I don't want that to change too much. I love that it's gotten messy and life is messy. And so I want the content of how we present it, not what we're saying, but how we present it. Not for people to get all upset if the lighting isn't right or this, that, and the other. And also the material, the content that we are providing. I do a program for Rock and Robin. We're starting our third season. It's called Thriver Thursday, and we find people all across this country who are thriving after mishaps, after so many things that have been placed in their path. And we're seeing even more so now. It's the third season. People are saying, "When is it coming back?"
I love that
they're,
program.
they're really looking forward to it. They want this. And we're also going to add, in addition to it, we're going to have a panel discussion after whatever the story is told to give people the resources. To give
Yeah,
people, they might see what's going on and go like, oh my gosh, this person got through depression or mental ill. How'd they do it? And then we have a panel of people talking about it, and we will give people the resources because I don't want to just share a story to just share it. I want it to. Diane Sawyer, I love this woman. She is somebody, when I came into ABC News from ESPN, embraced me, lifted me up, taught me. And she said, as journalists, we want to do stories that cause a reaction that leads to action. You think about it, right? Right. So you're watching it and you're like, and it causes a reaction in you, and you're like, I'm gonna do something. And so I get chills just thinking about it. I, I love I love when we do a story and people are hitting us up and going, hey, what can I do? And they want to do it in their community. It's just
that's so powerful. I love that. It just reminds you that humans, we are beautiful. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of kindness. I like to end. I hate that this is ending because I could talk to you all day, literally. But I do like to end my conversations with a call to action because, as I know you've heard me say, I'm grown really weary of thought leadership and people talking about the things that we should do. And I like to focus on action leadership. And you are a great example of an action leader. Um, what is one takeaway that you would give the audience about how we can all drive changes in whatever roles that we have, whether it's an entrepreneur, a creative executive, a business leader, a parent, a daughter? How can we
Courage,
change?
courage, courage. I see your Peloton bike behind you, and I have one too. And I just took a class recently, Allie Love, and
I
she
love
talked.
Ellie Love.
I know it too. She talked about courage, and what she said, it was like start, stay, sustain. A
Mm,
lot of people start something, but few people actually finish. They'll start, but they won't finish. So you start wherever you are, whatever lane you're in. Start, stay. Things are going to come, and you're stay strong, stay strong. Sustain what it is. Oh gosh, we could go on. There is so much that needs to happen in this beautiful country of ours. And people, they're woke. Their eyes are open. We've got to stay. We've got to sustain that. How many times in the history of this country we felt that we were okay, we're there, and then we get distracted, this, that, and the other, and we fall. So what I say to somebody who is a leader, and all of us have leadership qualities within us, want to be that leader, surround yourself, and you're the same way, Christina, as I am. I surround myself with good people. They don't have to be like-minded. They have to have the same core values.
yes.
That I don't compromise. But we can have, I'm going to tell you, in my neighborhood right here, we have someone down the street who has a Trump 2020 sign. We have around the corner Black Lives Matter sign. We are the United Nations in my neighborhood right here in Connecticut. And we talk to one another. We get to know the people. But you have to have good people, and that's what I'm saying. That I don't agree with everything in my neighborhood, but I appreciate and I want to learn as much as why is it that we feel as leaders, and there's a difference between, especially as women, we're often accused of being aggressive.
Yes.
No, I'm assertive. Because assertive means I want to be heard. Aggressive is I want to be right. You got to agree with. No, I want to be heard.
Mm.
And I would want that others who are in leadership positions and to know, why is it so hard? Why is equality hard? Why is it, what do you want for yourself? Why do you not want that for someone else? It's harder than it needs to be, but I am optimistic. Optimism is a muscle that gets stronger with use. I've flexed that muscle since I was young. I rely on that muscle, and I know that there is more good in us than bad. And so let's focus on the similarities that we have, the vast similarities that we have, instead of those few differences, but recognizing those differences. Don't be colorblind. People say, no, I'm black.
Yes.
You're white. You're what you're, let's see each other and know that we're all the same at the end of the day.
As always with these conversations, I get more out of it than I intended. Thank you. I needed to hear that message as well today. Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you, Christina. You're beautiful. Beautiful.
Man, that was such an incredible conversation with Robin. Really, really special. But now I'm going to pass it back to you, Leah.
As Robin highlights, how we live and work has changed so much in such a short period of time. As we've moved sales to Zooms and service centers to homes and marketing events to webinars and commerce to digital storefronts, a new work from anywhere normal has emerged. And as the world looks to reopen, Salesforce is helping everyone reopen safely and to help you look forward and focus on growth. That's why we've created Salesforce Anywhere to help you sell, service, and market, to collaborate, to work from anywhere. Now, let's go to Wade Wagner to show us a visionary demo of Salesforce Anywhere.
Whatever your job or industry, Salesforce Anywhere is here to help you to be successful. Let's see a demo. Now take Monica. She's a sales rep working from her home. In fact, her whole team is now working from their homes. Monica is here in Salesforce working on an opportunity. When she updates the status, she doesn't have to ping all of her teammates or schedule a meeting because her team is subscribed to alerts down to the field and topic level. Collaboration is natural, and everyone can bring others into the conversation. They can even start a chat to discuss this in real time. This experience transfers seamlessly from mobile to desktop. Team members can continue to chat and collaborate directly on the opportunity in Salesforce. Also notice some other innovations for modern collaboration. At the top, Presence shows who's working on the record and even allows you to follow teammates to other records. Comments allow you to have contextual, threaded conversations at the field level. You don't have to sit next to your teammates to see what they're doing. You are virtually working side by side. And when you want to have face-to-face engagement, you can easily move the conversation to video directly within Salesforce. Not only can you include your teammates, you can also securely invite customers into the conversation. And just like that, you can start this virtual face-to-face all in the context of the opportunity. And when you're done, everything is tracked, logged, and transcribed for you. Wow. Now that's an incredible way to collaborate from anywhere.
Thanks, Wade, for that incredible demo.